Hello, Bluebaggers, and welcome back to Bluebaggers Edge. And of course, we've had more changes in the coaching ranks, thank the Lord. And it's come in the form of Aaron Greaves, who is in charge of head of coaching performance, and Tom Lonigan, who is heading up development and talent, having been moved on. Now, this comes off the back of course, news we spoke about in a recent video of Aaron Hamill having also departed the assistant coaching ranks. There was a whispers by one of the journos. It's now been made official, of course, alongside these two departing assistants. But with just 3 changes having been made, we're all left wondering, is that it? There has to be more. But if we look closer at the situation, it would seem as though these initial changes are ones where 2 out of 3 at least have moved on from Carlton in a mutual agreement. First, we have the fact that Lonigan has already secured a role in recruiting at Geelong, as reported by Kel Toomey, and Hamill has reportedly chosen to elevate his role in the Shane Warne Foundation and perhaps downsize his focus from a footy perspective speaks to that idea. As for Greaves, it's just as likely his role is actually made redundant and dissolved altogether, especially if Wright opts to appoint, say, a director of coaching to assist Michael Voss. So all 3 changes thus far make absolute sense, and there will indeed be more to follow that I'm confident in. Of course, you're not going to make a further change to the coaching ranks unless you have sounded out someone for the role as a replacement. Just makes sense. And it is an awkward time, we must remember, as the home and away season has only just concluded tonight as I record this video following the Gold Coast v Essendon game. So other assistant coaches aren't exactly going to announce they're leaving or make a decision on a possible move to Carlton or another rival club until their own 2025 campaign has finished. That's done and dusted now, so I think we can expect to see changes from here on out. So I fully expect more changes to occur over the coming weeks. And the biggest change I think should come with Jordan Russell heading up our forwards. Now, it's no secret our forward line efficiency has been poor in 2025, both in terms of our ability to effectively have leading marking forwards and in terms of conversion. But the drop-off in the performance of our forwards is stark when you compare our 2024 performance to this season. In 2024, we were rated as the 3rd best scoring side in the competition behind Geelong and Sydney, and just ahead of the Lions with an average of 13.6 goals per game, as you can see just there. So he earns himself a bit of a tick there, Jordan Russell, in his first year manning the forward line as a line coach, but it makes you wonder in context of 2025, how much of that was actually leftover strategy and coaching from Ash Hansen when he held the reins as the line coach of the forwards seasons prior to that. Because if you compare it to 2025, which I'll flick across to here, you can see there that we sit as the 5th worst in the competition with 11.3 goals per game, only in front of struggling sides in Port, Essendon, West Coast, and Richmond. So that's a pretty, stark drop-off, and to put it bluntly, really, it was pretty piss poor. And while stats and data are, of course, a great resource for comparing performance, it only tells half the tale. What we see by eye says a lot. And when we're talking about setup and non-existent leading patterns, especially by our key forwards, it's an absolute mess. And the fact that these areas of concern weren't addressed as the season drew on, when it became glaringly obvious, is a massive alarm. And with that stems the inability to score. So just for reference here, let me just scroll back through, go back to round 1, and I'll scroll through here. And as you can see, that we actually only scored over 100 points 3 times across the total 23 games, which is just absolutely putrid. And the drop away from the midfielders is another reason that could put Tim Clark under the spotlight as midfield coach as well. A position he has held since 2022, so perhaps it's time for a fresh perspective, especially given he's previously had a 3-year stint at Carlton from 2015 to 2017. And then there's Ash Hansen. Like Clark, he too began in 2022, and in being elevated to a role as senior assistant, where you're the direct right-hand man to Voss, and consultation around setup and game plan form a large basis of his role. His role naturally will come under question, given this is an obvious area of concern. And to me, if you're sticking fat, you're having confidence in the senior coach in Michael Voss, his direct, compare, his direct support, he has to come into question. And in my eyes, in all likelihood, has to be moved on. It's just a natural thing, I think. You can't continue doing what we're doing with our current setup and expect a different outcome. We need to improve. Improvements haven't come, so we need to force these changes. But what about you? Who do you think makes way? Who sticks around? And who would you love us to poach as possible replacements from other clubs? Let us know in the comment section down below. And until next time, go Baggers.
Have you ever